Hey, it's William Melini from Flowers and Scents with your industry buzz. This week, we're going to interview Renato Sogueco of Bloomnet and Floriology. Uh, if you're a retail florist, Bloomnet pays this guy to go around and help florists with their technology and with their internet and with their photographs and everything else. So if you're a retailer in this business, you should probably listen to this. So without further ado, let Renato tell you about it. Renato, my friend Sogueco, from Bloomnet and Floriology. Okay, so look, we've just been together at SAF. I've seen you in action. You and I bounced around this industry for a while. I know you from your SAF days, and and I'm really impressed, frankly, that what Bloomnet or whoever allows you to do, because again, seeing you in action, teaching florists how to use cameras, how to use technology, how to take pictures of their flowers and their arrangements. I mean, all that is super good stuff, and probably, very well needed for the average florist who's working like crazy to put arrangements together and doesn't know how to do all that stuff. So anyway, so without further ado, come on, you've been at SAF, you're at Bloomnet, take us down this path.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure that your audience knows the primary mission of SAF is that's really to serve the the flower industry, in particular retail florists. So I think what a lot of people don't realize about Bloomnet, and quite frankly the other floral service providers like FTD and Teleflora, although that there may be some bad rap out there, for what we do, a lot, like Bloomnet supports the industry through education, and that's one of its primary missions. And the reason why education is so important is because anytime a florist learns a new skill, learns a new design technique, learns a new best practice in business, it just improves their business tremendously. So at Floriology, I'll just jump back real quick. I went to Bloomnet from SAF in 2016, so it's already been a good 5 years.
Right.
So, Floriology is one of the things that they put me in charge of. I think that was I asked for it because I knew that there are ways that I could contribute to it. But anyway, just getting back to this whole Floriology thing, in the 5 years I've been overseeing and managing Floriology and growing it with our team there, is that, like I said, when florists learn a new skill, take a class, learn something new, go out into the marketplace and apply it, they are immediately successful. So we've had people like accountants, people that are coming from outside the industry, come into Floriology, learn a new set of skills. Now there's hugely successful businesses. They're AIFD certified. So I've witnessed the growth in just a relatively few years, and that's what always amazes me about education. And that's why ever since I left the SAF, which of course its mission is directly toward the benefit of the industry and the retail florists, Bloomnet has done the same thing with Floriology. And I'm passionate about what I do, and they've obviously provided me a lot of leeway in order to continue and promote that mission throughout the industry. That's why I think, Willie, you and I see each other all the time, just because we're always presenting somewhere. Like, we saw each other at International Floriculture Expo, and Jackie Lacey and I were there presenting a session, So we're committed for you to see us all the time, just because, we have something to teach, and it's just not strictly design. And I think you know that, because at the SAF session, we talked about what you just said,
Everything but design. Yeah, it was more.
That's right. And my message is, like, florists need to expand their skill set beyond design, because they run a business. In order to have a successful business, you need a lot of other parts other than the design. I'm not discounting design, but what we talked about at SAF is like, you need to be able to market yourself effectively. And one of the best ways to do that is through better video, better photos, which result in better social media posts, which get you a larger audience and a more engaged audience through those upgraded skills. And that was part of the session. But I'm going to do a shout out to the American Floral Endowment, because we work very closely with them. Any piece of data that comes out of them, we've agreed and we've said, hey, guys, if you want us to promote your research, we will gladly do it. So that session at the International Floriculture Expo was based on research that just came out literally like a week before we presented it.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I interviewed the endowment, the people there at the event at SAF, and I'm much like what I was saying to you in Floriology. They're all about education. I mean, I'm sort of overwhelmed with what they do and all the good things that they offer. So I'm happy that you guys are working together because you're more or less headed down the same path. You're trying to do the same thing in a sense.
Yeah, I think it's a great marriage in a way. We haven't officially got married. We're heavily dating, I guess. But one thing that we realized with that data, like the more florists, and not only florists, this data could apply to any floral business. The more they hear about it and leverage it, again, the more successful their business will be, just because they have that information, as opposed to being ignorant about a lot of these trends. And a lot of the trends that are coming out of AFE, or a lot of the research, is consumer research. Super, 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 super important. And from the aspect that
very relevant. Yeah.
Very relevant, because a lot of it deals with how they behave now in this new digital age, post-COVID. It's really a different consumer out there. And one of the differences that I think we learned is that I think for decades, of course, the primary consumer for the flower industry has been the boomer, which is awesome. And there's still a huge segment of the population which the florist could make a living from. But it's really now the millennial. SAF studies have showed that, AFE studies have confirmed that. And then all the stuff that, like Jackie and I and at that session at SAF have been preaching is really geared for the florists to start reconfiguring themselves, their marketing, to target that new primary purchasing group of flowers, the millennial.
Yeah, I'm going to make a little analogy here, if you allow me. Okay, so I'm in a band, right? Or I'm a musician, and
I've seen the videos, Willie. I've enjoyed them.
Well, we're out playing, and I'm up in Orlando now, and out playing, and we're having trouble garnering the right crowd. And I said to the band not too long ago, listen, we're a bunch of old guys trying to play for a young crowd. They don't even know the music for the most part. And so there's this collision. And I said, we got to start playing at 55 and older places or something, people that, know this sort of music. Us trying to appeal, we don't play their music, the new, the millennials music. And so it makes sense in that respect as well. There's a new customer, if you will.
Well, like they're, and Will, it's interesting that you say that, because be it that a lot of the florists out there are of the boomer age bracket, right?
Yeah.
So they may feel like they're powerless because they may not necessarily know, how to reach this millennial. But what we're preaching out there are all the best practices that people need to know. Like I'm sure you've heard of search engine optimization.
Sure.
That's like based on keywords, and like we're basically teaching florists to figure out all the right keywords that attract those millennials. There are also new forms of investing in advertising, like Google ads or Facebook ads. That hits them, okay, from a digital perspective, it hits them on their mobile phone primarily.
Yep.
Because, most people consume information through that phone and the desktop as well. But the whole idea is that it's all electronic means now.
Yep.
And then the other aspect that I think a lot of the older generation needs to understand is that the millennials and younger, I mean, we're not only talking millennials, but there's a whole two more waves of young consumers coming up.
Yeah, who are even more digitally
like entrenched, with the ways they consume data. But it's just it's really a matter of engaging them, because now, like millennials and younger want to engage with you as a business. So they don't want to meet your band, Willie. They want to meet you. Right. They want to know how long you've been playing guitar, why you play guitar, why you're so passionate about it. You know, they want to make that personal connection with you. So the irony is, like, even though it's all digital and people think, oh, you know what, it's remote, it's really not. I mean, like, I think they see it as a way to engage with you more and get to know you better. So a lot of stories I've heard from florists is when the ones that do great social media is when a customer walks in the shop and they say, oh, you were in that video that showed me how to do this care and handling thing. So those are touch points that I think florists need to understand that they could make through digital means.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, I was watching some little, at a lunch, I was watching some little baby. They're holding the baby in the arms and he's got his cell phone like this and the baby is scrolling through. And the baby is like not even a year, 6 months old, and it's trying to, you know, it's running its finger over the pad, over the phone. I'm like, wow, you know, it's come a long way. And look, the reality is, when that Google guy at SAF spoke, everybody sort of walked out of there scratching their heads saying, "Ooh." A couple of people said to me, "I hope I'm retiring soon. I don't have to learn that stuff," because it blew a lot of people away. What the power that Google has with data. So, but the good news is you broke this down real simple and make it easy for retailers to sort of get it. Okay, maybe I don't want to learn it, but if you want to learn it, just follow these steps and you'll get there. And you've made it pretty easy, I think.
Yeah, in a way, the talk was based on machine learning, right?
Yes.
And how machine learning is now being applied to advertising, you know? So I think when florists heard that, or just the general crowd heard that, they were like, whoa, now you're talking about artificial intelligence and the machines are going to take over and what have you.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it actually makes your job advertising easier. Because what machine learning is all about is that it's taken the data that may be invisible to you, but Google knows every person that visits your shop, the keywords they type in, how much they buy, all their demographic information. That's an enormous amount of valuable data that if you had that as an advertiser and leverage that on your own, you could make like a huge improvement to your engagement and sales and what have you. But now what Google is saying is like, you don't even have to worry about that. We'll take care of that for you. And then we'll go ahead and apply all the algorithms necessary to drive people to your shop. All you have to do is answer the question.
Give me the data, right? Fill in the blanks.
Fill in the blanks for me. So it is the present, and it is obviously the future of advertising because you know, understandably, there are a lot of smart people in this world, a lot of smart people that advertise, a lot of smart florists, but it's pretty tough to compete with a machine that has decades worth of data of the people that visit and buy from your business. So I know it's scary, but you kind of have to lend a little trust to that concept. And then I think you will be amazingly surprised how effective this stuff could be for your business.
I'm not surprised that it would happen. And speaking of that, you have 5 strategies. I like this. 5 strategies to survive the pandemic.
Yeah.
And thrive afterwards. I think that. Tell me about those.
I think we actually mentioned more than a few of them already.
Already, right? Yeah.
On this thing. But I'll just walk through them. First one is obviously come to the realization that it's the millennial that's your primary customer. So what does that mean to you as a florist? Well, you got to shift either slight or large your engagement and advertising strategy to start courting these people. Okay. And a big part of it is like one of the strategies is video. Because if you think of what engages people the most, I mean, like if folks have posted videos on their Facebook or their Instagram, those are the posts that get the most engagement from the audience. And it's usually like a 10 times more engagement than photo or text posts. So you have the millennials, switch to them. So that means you got to switch your strategy. So if you're Facebook heavy, you may need to consider, well, I need to shift over to Instagram more, or I need to shift over to TikTok more, or I need to shift over to YouTube more. Now, I just mentioned YouTube and TikTok. I'm pretty sure that to a lot of florists, that's like a really foreign thing. Like, oh, like Renato, now you're telling me that I now have to change my strategy to do something else? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, because that's where your customers are and will be, you know? And that second thing about video, why did we do that session at SAF? To give you those skills of
Yeah.
how to capture better video. So third strategy is that thing that we talked about, SEO. No matter what, so your website, you know, people ask me, well, is the website still relevant? Absolutely, because it's the only place that the florist controls 100% that they capture the sale.
Right.
You know, social is great, and there will be a time when maybe social will be a place where you are capturing a majority of your sales, but it's not there yet. You use it basically to engage with the audience and drive people to where your website.
It's bait. You're fishing. It's bait.
Yeah, you're fishing. So these are all the nets, right? All the hooks out there, but you're bringing them, you're reeling them back to a website. That's where you make the conversion. So you need to rank in Google, just because you know, people still search. They know that you're on social, but there are many people that do not know of you. So they'll just search for like florist, Jacksonville, Florida.
Right.
If you're not on that first page, guess what? You have a
Not getting the order.
1% chance of ever getting a click from that person.
And whether that florist is actually in Jacksonville, that's a whole different story.
That's a different, you know what? That could probably be another session on its own, Willie, but we'll talk about that later. So you have SEO, and then we also mentioned the thing I just talked about, like Google Ads. You got to advertise. And interesting that you brought up that whole thing about other people, you know, maybe pretending to be you. That happens, and that's legal. And how? Well, they're like, well, Renato, explain to me that a little bit more. Well, they're not overtly pretending to be you in this ad.
Right.
But if you're a well-known florist in Jacksonville, and I'm going to pick on my friends Coons here in Jacksonville.
They are the ones in Jacksonville.
They are well known. So even if you're a consumer outside Jacksonville, you probably know Coons if you've sent into the city before.
Right. So
what are you going to type in? Coons flowers.
Yeah.
Guess what? Competitors know that too.
Yeah.
And what AdWords does is that they know that it's strictly driven by pay per click. So if you type in a certain set of keywords, you have to bid on those keywords, and then it shows the ad, right?
Oh.
So if the competitor knows that you type in Coons flowers, they could legally use that as a keyword.
By outbidding you, basically, right?
That's right. Or well, if you're not bidding at all.
Oh.
That's what happens in a lot of cities, that florists don't use Google Ads. The competitor knows they don't. They use that florist's name in the keywords.
Yeah.
That customer that knows the florist types in that name.
Bingo.
It's their link that pops up. What's the natural assumption of a consumer?
That must be them. Yeah.
That must be them. So they click on it.
They click on it.
Yeah. So
very likely not them, or it could be them. And I'm probably guilty of this myself, because my SEO is not so good, and I'm one of those guys stuck in the middle here. As I've told you before, I'm somewhere between my desktop and my phone, and I just haven't made that transition yet, and I probably won't. So I'm happy that things like this come along, that we can present these things without me being too complicated or too educated in this respect.
Well, and really, again, it comes down to our initial point about how education could really change a business, and it could really change even the way you do business, right? The way you do things. So just a little information could go a long way. So I think that's why we're out there.
Well, okay. So I knew this 20 minutes would go fast here. So all right. So how does a florist engage with you? Obviously, you know, you have Bloomnet, which is a division of Teleflora, I guess, right? Or is it?
No, Bloomnet
is separate.
Like Teleflora is its own company, right? So Bloomnet is its own company, and Floriology is a subsidiary of Bloomnet. So we are our own company.
The Bloomnet is not owned by Teleflora then?
No, definitely. It's 800 Flowers that owns Bloomnet.
Oh, wrong guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, see, I need to educate myself here.
Well, you know, that's why we're here chatting about it. And
that's why we're here chatting about it. Well, okay. So how do they engage with you? How can you help them?
Well, as we said, we offer education. And we are out and about in the industry. However, we've developed really 3 ways to engage with us on the education side.
Okay.
So we have an education center here in Jacksonville. So you could fly into Jacksonville and take several courses with us, hands-on design with some pretty well-known designers. So I mentioned Jackie Lacey, but we're also talking like Sharon McGuckin, Sandy Schreck, Alejandro Figuera, Donald Yim. And, like these are big names in the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
And they all focus on like specific things like we have a course coming up that we've invited a guest to come in to to teach with us, but it's celebrating life every day. So which would focus on events and the sympathy business.
Okay.
And we have another one in January, which will be principles and elements of design. And all these instructors are AIFD certified. So they're teaching you, every technique that they're teaching you is absolutely 100% correct.
Wow.
So again, you could come in, fly in, you stay for a few days with us, you leave armed with so much information. We also have taken that experience in an interactive way. So if you can't fly into Jacksonville or you don't feel comfortable yet traveling, we do offer interactive classes. The next one will be in December. And then now, a year and a half ago, we launched a video on demand platform where you could learn from your phone, from your desk, anywhere, anytime, called Floriology Now.
Oh, okay.
So that platform covers foundational floristry, everyday arrangements and round arrangements, sympathy, wedding flowers. And again, it's taught by the same group of people that I just mentioned. So all the education is
Are
quality.
these they pay to come in, or these are?
Yeah, so you just pay a subscription,
Okay.
and then you have access to the courses for a year. And one way, and then you could opt to renew your courses. But how we entice people to renew is that course load just expands every year. So Jackie and I are committed to adding at least 3 to 4 to 5 courses to this every year. So we're adding a new care and handling course, for example, in December. We just added a part 2 of that foundational floristry course. So a lot of florists could leverage this platform to be a training tool for new employees, because sometimes it's tough. I mean, you're a busy shop owner. It's tough for you to train someone, but it's easy enough to say, well, you know what, let's get you on Floriology Now. You could take the foundational floristry courses. At least it gets them up to speed on how to put foam in a container, green it up, make basic arrangements.
Beautiful.
And then they could take the subsequent courses to add on to their skill set.
All right. And if somebody wants to find Renato, they do your email, I guess.
Yeah, just and you don't have to be a Bloomnet member to reach out to me if
I was
you're.
going to ask that too as well, but you don't have to be a Bloomnet member.
No. I mean, and I think you've heard that at these presentations where.
Yeah, it's very neutral. No.
I'm okay with giving out my information. So if you want to email me, it's Renato@floriologyinstitute.com.
Floriologyinstitute.com. Okay.
You could friend me on Facebook. You could, connect with me on Instagram and just message me, and we will always have a conversation.
Imagine you being connected all those ways.
Yeah. Well, the technology is a convenient way to communicate. And, sometimes people think, well, do you get overwhelmed with it? And no, you know what? I mean, I think once you accept the idea that this is the new way of engaging your fellow man or woman,
deal with it.
You got to deal with it. Yeah. You got to deal with it, but at least have an open attitude.
Yeah.
Engaging this way.
It's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to learn. But anyway, look, we're in a good situation here. The flower business is booming. People want flowers. People are finally getting the idea that flowers are all the things that we said they were all these years, and how good they are for you. And but now, it's all coming down this path. And as things return to whatever normal is these days, you got to have the tools to do your job. So,
Willie, that's a great point. And the one thing that I've had discussions with fellow SAF members on calls, excuse me, but digital is the #1 way in which you could keep that momentum up with your customers. So during the pandemic, they may have discovered you because they were just isolated in their houses doing searches. What's the best way for me to reach out to my relatives without reaching out with them physically? Through a florist.
Yeah. Okay.
And a lot of consumers discovered florists maybe for the first time, maybe again.
Yeah, this
and said,
works.
this works. So how do we keep that momentum up? And a lot of it is through digital marketing.
I agree 100%. Well, we could go on and on because there's a lot of subject here, but I wanted to tease everybody here with what you got and what you're doing. It's good stuff. And if I was a retailer, I would be beating down your door to find out more because there's just good stuff out there. So I thank you, sir, for your time. And
Thank you, Willie. This has been great.
Yeah, this is good stuff. So I'm happy to have this interview, and you have a great day, sir.